Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating story that hits on, well, one of the most universal challenges we all face in our crazy, modern, super busy lives. We're going to explore this core idea of how to actually find inner peace when the world around you is just incredibly chaotic. I mean, it's so easy to get completely swept up in the endless rush of responsibilities, right? But the source material we're unpacking today gives us this beautiful, really timeless lesson on exactly how to anchor ourselves when it feels like everything else is spinning out of control. So how exactly do you quiet a stormy mind? I want you to genuinely think about that for a second. Do you ever feel completely overwhelmed by the fast pace of your day-to-day life? Ever lay awake at night with your thoughts just racing, feeling like your brain is a literal storm that refuses to settle down? We are constantly bombarded with information, expectations, endless to-do lists. It can feel virtually impossible to find quiet. But what if the solution isn't about escaping the noise of the outside world, but changing how we focus on the inside? Let's meet someone who knows exactly how this feels. So let's meet our protagonist for today, Marco. He's 24 years old, and he actually lives in this quiet little village surrounded by gorgeous mountains. But here's the catch. Despite his peaceful surroundings, Marco is constantly restless. He is deeply, deeply exhausted. Not from physical labor, but by his own mind. If you've ever dealt with burnout or anxiety, you're probably going to see a reflection of your own everyday struggles in Marco here. His mind was just constantly full of thoughts racing in and out all day long.
Part 1. The Stormy Mind.
Marco's struggles map perfectly to the classic symptoms of chronic overthinking. He was constantly sad about the past, endlessly replaying stuff that had already happened. And at the same time, he's worrying heavily about the future, projecting fear onto things that hadn't even happened yet. Because his brain was constantly being pulled backward and forward, he couldn't sleep well. He was left feeling perpetually uneasy, physically drained, and honestly, he just forgot how to smile. Dwelling anywhere other than the present was totally draining his energy and his happiness. He couldn't find a baseline of calm.
But then, a catalyst for change enters the picture. Marco hears a rumor about a wise old man living in a faraway village up in the hills. And this wasn't just any guy. He used to be a famous psychologist in the busy city. He'd spent his entire life helping people find mental peace. But as he got older, he left that chaotic city life behind and retreated to nature, occasionally offering advice to visitors. For Marco, hearing about this expert who actively traded city noise for natural peace, it sparked a real glimmer of hope. He thought, maybe, just maybe, this wise man could cure his stormy mind.
So Marco sets out on a long, exhausting journey up to those hills. Part 2. The Wise Man's Challenge.
When Marco finally gets there, he finds this peaceful little house completely covered in greenery, and sitting quietly on the porch, eyes closed, looking incredibly calm, is the old man. Marco walks right up to him and just makes this desperate plea. He says, "Grandfather, my mind is very restless. I cannot stop thinking. I want peace in my heart. Can you help me?" It's such a raw, honest request, and it totally sets up the psychological remedy that's about to be revealed. The old man slowly opens his eyes, gives a warm smile, and invites Marco into his yard. The old man then gives Marco what sounds like a deceptively simple task. Step 1, fill a glass with water completely to the brim, so full that even a tiny little shake would make it spill. Step 2, walk to the edge of the village and then come all the way back. Step 3, do not spill even one single drop. Now, I don't know about you, but that's hard enough for me to do in my own kitchen, let alone navigating through a public space. For a young guy whose mind is a total storm, who can't even sit still to sleep, a delicate physical balancing act through a busy village sounds literally impossible. But Marco really wanted to do his best, so he accepts the challenge.
He very carefully takes hold of the glass and starts his walk. Part 3. The Power of Focus.
The village was absolute chaos right then. Dogs are barking wildly, shopkeepers are yelling out, people are just running right past him. It is a loud, fast-paced, incredibly distracting environment. But for Marco, complete silence. He is taking very slow, very deliberate steps. He's not looking around at all. His eyes are locked entirely on that glass of water. People are looking at him like he's crazy, but nobody actually disturbs him.
Finally, after walking all the way to the edge of the village and making the long trek back, Marco returns to the wise old man. And the number of drops he spilled? 0. Absolutely 0 drops of water. Despite all those crazy external distractions, Marco triumphantly pulled off this incredibly precise journey. He looks at the grandfather and says, "I did it." The old man nods and smiles at Marco's success. Sure, but then he asks a really surprising follow-up question. He goes, "That's good, but tell me, Did you see the children playing on the side of the road? Did you hear the dogs barking? Marco is completely taken aback. He says, "No, I didn't see or hear anything. I was only focusing on the glass." And it's in this exact moment that Marco realizes he hadn't noticed the external world at all. The chaos was literally right next to him, but it hadn't entered his mind.
And this massive realization brings us to the final act of our explainer, Part 4, Unlocking Real Inner Peace.
The wise old man smiles gently and finally reveals the secret. He tells Marco that this peace was something already inside him. He just didn't realize it. He says, when your mind stays in the present moment, there is no space for fear, no confusion, and no extra thoughts. See, because Marco was only thinking about the water in that glass right then and there, his mind became totally quiet. By anchoring to the absolute present, the physical task right in front of him, he wasn't sad about the past, he wasn't afraid of the future. The remedy for his anxiety was absolute, undeniable presence.
Let's break down the psychology of this for a second, because it creates a really clear framework. When we hyper-focus on the past, we feel sadness, which results in a restless mind. When we project out into the future, we generate fear and worry, which gives us that totally exhausted, stormy mind Marco is suffering from. But the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. When our focus anchors to the present, we achieve complete focus, and the result is quiet, true peace. Peace isn't some destination you hike out into the hills to find. The source material spells it out beautifully. Peace is already inside us, just waiting for us to actually live in the present moment.
Marco finally understood. If he wanted to calm his mind, he just had to keep it in the current moment. That is when real peace actually arrives. The sun starts to set, birds are flying back to their nests, and Marco begins his walk back home. But he is entirely transformed. He is not that exhausted, restless kid who couldn't even smile anymore. Just learning to keep his mind in the moment completely changed his internal world. He finally knew the secret. Which leaves us with one final, incredibly vital question to ask ourselves as we wrap up today's explainer. What is your glass of water? Seriously, what is that anchor in your daily routine that commands your complete focus? Maybe it's just feeling your breath for a minute. Maybe it's listening intently to a friend, or pouring your attention into a single task at work without glancing at your phone. Whatever it is, find your glass of water. Focus on it, and just watch the storm inside your mind finally start to settle.